Pacer Nation, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode here of Setting the Pace, your go-to Pacers podcast. The Indiana Pacers are headed to the in-season tournament championship game after a 128-119 victory over Giannis Antetokounmpo and Milwaukee Bucks. Joining me to talk about this in the first segment is the one and only Michael J. Facci. Facci, how we feeling?
Oh my God, Alex, how am I feeling? I don't know if I'm sleeping until that championship game is over, because that game was nothing short of electric. It had a little bit of everything. It had the Pacers up early. It had a little bit of drama when they fell behind, and then they came back. They take down the Bucks for the second time this season, and they're going to the in-season tournament championship. How are we doing?
We're doing great. And I mean, honestly, this game was so slow to start things off. 5 o'clock start. You're playing in Vegas. It looks like a Pistons court. The neutral playing field or neutral court is just terrible for the environment. It took a while for things to really start kicking in and making this feel like an impactful game. But I will tell you this, the Pacers bench in the second quarter really sparked with TJ McConnell coming out there, giving out, I think he had 7 points in the second quarter. Same with Isaiah Jackson, Ben Mathurin, I believe he had 8. So it was just a really impressive performance from the Pacers in that second quarter. I mean, I was just blown away when they went up 36-23 in that quarter. I was like, oh my God, they have a 36-23 run right now. Just huge. So the Pacers really just kind of slowly kept themselves in it in the first quarter. The bench took advantage in the second, and then we knew that third quarter was coming. We knew it was coming, and we had no stops for a good 6 minutes.
No, we really didn't. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, I tweeted out, I was like, why aren't the announcers making a bigger deal that Damian Lillard has 4 points on 2 of 10 shooting right now? And then all of a sudden, the third quarter comes, and he killed the Pacers. He had 16 points in that third quarter. Giannis had about, I think it was 13 of his own. I mean, they really shouldered that scoring load for a Bucks team that scored 43 points. Pacers couldn't stop anyone. And it felt like you knew a team like Milwaukee wasn't just going to fade away. They were going to bounce back because that's a championship pedigree team. But the Pacers took those punches on the chin, and they kept pushing forward. And I just felt like it showed that this Pacers team had fight in them. And we saw that fight tonight, because this was not an easy game. Defensively, Giannis, I mean, there was nothing you could do to stop him except for just try and make it tough on him. And I feel like that's what the Pacers did tonight. For the Bucks, just challenge them.
I think people really started to realize who Aaron Nesmith is as a player tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Doris Burke, was giving him all the love on the broadcast, just letting everybody know, like, this dude is out there, and she likes the way he was defending. Maybe the offensive, when he tried to get the offensive rebound when the Bucks already secured the possession in the fourth quarter, was a little bit over the top with his aggressiveness, but I really enjoyed everything else that he was doing. But I want to talk about Andrew Nembhard, because Andrew Nembhard obviously comes in the first quarter, comes in for Bruce Brown, who got hurt, then doesn't see the floor the rest of that half. So he played like 2 minutes, I think, maybe in that first quarter, maybe even 1 minute. It wasn't very long. And then all of a sudden, they put him in the third quarter, Facci, to try to slow things down. And I want to say the score was 76-72 when he entered the game for the Pacers. Damian Lillard did not make a field goal attempt after going off to start the third until that fourth quarter, when Andrew Nembhard missed a layup, injured his knee, and it was a 5-on-4. That was the first time that Damian Lillard made a field goal in that stretch, probably like an 10-minute stretch there of game time, where Dame was cold after going so hot. I think he had, 14 points in that quarter, or 16 points, something like that?
It was 16 points. 14 might have been in the first 6 minutes of the quarter.
That's what I'm saying. He had 2 free throws at the end of the quarter, but other than that, he had no made field goals. And I thought that Andrew Nembhard was huge defensively. So, yeah, I want to give him his flowers for obviously coming in there after not playing much in the first half, but really getting things going. And then let's talk about Isaiah Jackson for a second before we jump into the starters, because Isaiah Jackson didn't play against Boston. Played 16 minutes, 5 of 7 from the field, 11 points, 6 rebounds. Thoughts on Isaiah Jackson?
I loved it. I thought he gave the Pacers great minutes that second quarter. He had about 7 points in that second quarter. That's really where he did a bunch of his damage scoring-wise. And just the plays that he was making, and the Pacers needed. I felt like at times, this is a Pacers team that they're not big. I mean, if you really look at this lineup, Isaiah Jackson's 6'9". Other than that, you're looking at Turner's the only player that's bigger. I feel like Ijax gave the Pacers good minutes. I felt like the bench in small doses really brought everything they had when they were in. Isaiah Jackson's definitely someone that we saw him out of the lineup recently. And when he came in, he made a difference in this game. And I want to say he was plus 14. When Isaiah Jackson's giving you, he's plus 14. That makes a big difference.
He was huge in the second quarter and really there at the end of the third and the fourth. I mean, gave Myles the rest that he needed because I thought really, if you look at it, it was Haliburton and Turner that really kept the Pacers afloat this entirety of the game. Myles Turner hit big shot after big shot. He had some nice dunks in there, really ferocious.
Yes. Dunks. Those were with aggression. You don't always see that out of Turner.
Well,
Tonight,
we got to use Rick Carlisle's
three of those.
Force. Myles has played with a different force since he's been with Rick Carlisle. I've noticed that a lot. It's like he's done a much better job of just not being so timid with the basketball and just thundering dunks down and going at guys and not pulling up and kind of being a little bit soft down there in the paint. I think he's been playing with a lot of force, and you got to love that. I think that it's been huge. And some of the 3-point shots that he took, I didn't love. But, Facci, I think this might actually be the first time the Pacers have won a game when they've made less than 12 3-pointers.
Very interesting. I mean, the 3-point ball, it was not falling. It was not falling. You see 21% from three. You don't expect that the Pacers would win that game, but pretty much everything from inside the arc was going right for the Pacers. So I thought that was great. But there was a couple stats out there. I saw it was like, I think it was in the first half that when Tyrese Haliburton was driving, and then was dishing out, the Pacers were 5 for 5 on those shots. And it's just like the passes that he was making. I mean, some of the looks he was getting his teammates. I just love the fact that this happened on ESPN because guys like OB were getting open looks and Turner was getting open looks and other guys. I just felt like, the 3-point ball might not have been falling, but hey, just about everything else was, including in the paint.
They dominated Milwaukee in the paint 72-60. And that's not something you would think. When you see Bobby Portis out there playing small forward with Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're thinking, okay, we're not going to have a great chance here in the points in the paint. But the Pacers did a great job. And I think recently we've heard them talk about this, especially against the Miami Heat on Saturday. We heard Coach Jenny Busek say it to Jeremiah Johnson. The paint is great, right? Paint's a great. That was the big thing they kept saying. So if you can get in the paint, then other things will open up. And that's what we saw. Even though the shots didn't fall, it was one of those games where they just kind of, they dug their heels in and they really just battled. They battled once again, held the Bucks to 119, right? Scored 128. I mean,
That's impressive.
It was just a really good game where they were making stops. And every time Malik Beasley or Cameron Payne shot the ball in the fourth quarter, I considered that a win. Because if you can keep Dame and Chris Middleton and Giannis off the ball and other guys are taking shots, you live with it. So great schematics there, but we haven't even touched about the guy that basically carried this team on his back. Tyrese Haliburton does it freaking again. You're just so used to greatness now. You don't even know how to start off with it. 27 points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds, and your favorite stat of all, 0 turnovers, Facci.
0. I love it. He does, and Alex, I want to give him even more flowers. I want to give him a bouquet right now because over his last 2 games, 53 points, 28 assists, 0 turnovers, and 57% shooting from the field. How this man, he's a magician out there. I kept turning to my wife. I was like, babe, he's a star. And she was like, I get it. All right. And I was like, I need someone else to talk to about this. I couldn't wait to podcast because Haliburton, what he did tonight, and that final 3 that he hit, it just felt like an absolute dagger. And on the biggest stage for him thus far in his career, he has risen far above expectations. And what he's doing right now, it needs to be talked about on the media. And I'm so happy that it will be because he's demanding that respect for this Indiana Pacers team.
I mean, we got Woj pregame saying that Tyrese Haliburton is recruiting basically stars to come play with him. Like he wants players to come play with him in Indiana because he's all Giannis dude in Milwaukee. I mean, that is just special stuff. I mean, we're not going to talk about trades, obviously, because we got ourselves a championship game that we're going to be playing. And we don't even know who we're going to be playing against, obviously, because we're recording this at 8:20 before the Lakers and the Pelicans have even played. So Maybe we'll have something out there for you before that game. I don't know. But it's just one of those things, Facci, where I'm sitting here and I'm just blown away by what has happened with this Pacers team during the in-season tournament. They have had a ton of pressure on them to go out there and live up to the expectations that they put on themselves after beating team after team that would be considered the favorite in the matchup. And they're not backing down from anything, and they're showcasing why they're special, why they belong in this conversation, and why they are maturing as a team. So I am absolutely in love with the way this team is growing and how they're just trusting Haliburton to kind of lead them for every big moment. And you talked about that big shot. I was waiting for it. I probably said it 3-4 times in the living room. I'm like, okay, where's the Tyrese 3 coming at? Where's the Tyrese? I was like, Tyrese 3? Oh, no, okay. Drove to the basket. Did it a couple more times. Then he finally hits it on Brook Lopez. And it just felt like, okay, this is what he does. How many times has he done this now?
It feels like a nightly occasion that I feel like Tyrese puts the team, extends them back on the bus. Like he's like, all right, hey, thank you for coming. It was nice playing against you. But talking about Brook Lopez, I felt like it was almost like Tyrese didn't really even see him, that he's a 7-footer, because at times Tyrese was driving right at him and floating the ball right over him. This is Brook Lopez, who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate just a year ago. And Tyrese, he did not phase Tyrese one bit. And I just feel like that confidence, it's so real for Haliburton right now. And I feel that he's instilling that same confidence in his teammates. And I feel that guys are playing above, what you would expect them to. I feel like you got a very efficient play from Obi Toppin tonight. He was 6 of 8. Bruce Brown might not have shot the ball really well, but he battled, he defended really well. Myles Turner, I felt like gave you everything he could. 26 and 10. I just felt that the bench, I want to give a quick shout out to the bench. Alex, 43 points for this Pacers bench to 13. That is a major difference in this game.
Major difference. And that's what I was talking about. That second quarter, I feel like it was all led by T.J. McConnell. We talked about how flat the building felt. T.J. McConnell put a spark in this game and put a spark with this Pacers team that just kind of ignited everybody. So, when you need who needs a fan base when you have a one-man hype crew on the Pacers roster and T.J. McConnell. Weed Hotchkiss just tweeted this out. He writes for Pacers.com if you're not familiar with who Weed is, but he said there have been 17 games in NBA history where a player has had 25 plus points, 15 plus assists, and 0 turnovers. Nobody has done it more than once, except for Tyrese Haliburton, who has done it 3 times since November 12th, including tonight. Unreal.
It's insane. That is insane. He's on pace to just absolutely obliterate that stat category right there. Because what he's doing, I truly feel that the only player that you could say is doing anything even close to what he's doing is Nikola Jokic. And that is unbelievable, category to be in. So Tyrese right now, they've talked about it on ESPN. They said if the Pacers can keep winning, he is a serious MVP candidate. And who would have thought we'd be saying that in year 4 for Tyrese Haliburton and this young Pacers team?
I thought I was trying to be like optimistic, but I was also trying to be like cautious of what I said. And I was like, I don't know if he's up there yet in that conversation of MVP. Like, yeah, maybe top 5, but maybe not top 1, top 2. I think that after every performance that he continues to prove us that how great he is, it only catapults him into this. I think clearly the favorite to win the in-season tournament MVP. I think they're going to have to win against their opponent on Saturday for the championship to really secure that. But my goodness, he's been incredible in this tournament, Facci. But it was great to hear Reggie Miller on the call for this one. A former Pacer, kind of almost felt like a passing of the mantle with the photos we saw.
I agree.
And Reggie Miller even said you are witnessing a superstar in the making. Tyrese Haliburton is putting the world on notice. When you hear Reggie Miller say that stuff, it's just as a Pacer fan, and you hear one of the greatest, if not the greatest Pacer of all time, saying that about your superstar, that's got to make you just want to run through a brick wall.
It warms my heart. It almost feels like, how do we get more of this? It's like you two should hang out, go get lunch together, do something in the off season because we want to see more of it. And I just want to say one thing, because I don't want to make it personal, but they had Damian Lillard as the in-season tournament favorite to win MVP. It's not even close who had the better game tonight. Dame, struggled immensely in that first half. Yep. He finished with 24 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, but he did it on 7 of 20 shooting. Tyrese Haliburton, just to restate those numbers once more, had 27 points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds, 0 turnovers, and he did it on 11 of 19 shooting. Alex, if we want to account for, within the arc, I mean, he was unbelievably efficient. He was let's see, he was whatever it was. I don't know. He was ridiculously efficient because he was 3 of 9 from 3. So at this point, I'm way too hyped up to be doing
11
that.
of 19 from the floor.
Yeah, well, 11 of 19 from the floor, but from inside the arc, I was saying, he was even more efficient. So it was just awesome to see tonight. This man, he's not rising to be a star. He is a star right now.
8 for 10 inside the arc, 80%. Real quick, Rick Carlisle in the post-game interview said, a lot of people didn't want us here. We don't care about that. We earned our way here. We earned our way to 3 additional national TV games, so people are going to find out about the Pacers. Also, the Pacers have announced that the championship game will be available to watch live at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So you can get your family and your friends and watch the Pacers in the championship game on the Jumbotron. I believe the tickets are general admission. So not sure if that's going to cost anything or not, but make sure you guys get down there if you want to be a part of a crazy environment. There's not a lot going on Saturday evening, so you want to make sure you're a part of that. But it's going to be a fun time, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to close out this post-game podcast with good friend and voice of the Pacers for Bally Sports Indiana, who was not able to call this game, Chris Denari, right after this. All right, we are back, and joining us now to talk about this Pacers win over the Milwaukee Bucks is the voice of Pacers television on Bally Sports. It's Chris Denari. Chris, what a heck of a game.
I'll tell you what, it was an amazing game. I mentioned, I think I sent it out on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that the last time I watched a Pacers game and didn't call it as the play-by-play voice was January of 2022. I think that's 131 games ago. I was in my basement watching the Pacers rally in overtime to beat Golden State. And then it was, a month later that the Pacers made the big trade to get Tyrese and Buddy. And so I had never not called a game when Tyrese played. And I say this, that I think my wife likes me better as the TV voice of the Pacers than as a fan sitting on the couch, because I was probably a little obnoxious. I was, way more nervous. I mean, I'm a fan. I mean, I think everybody knows when I do the game, I want the Pacers to win, but I have a job to do, right? You be professional. It's a little bit different. I got off the phone with my youngest son, who was watching the game at a local establishment in Broad Ripple. And I told him, I said, you know how we used to watch Butler games together and you were crazy? That's how your dad was tonight. So, but what a win. I mean, just a tremendous win on a national stage. What the Pacers have done the last 2 games, I think, is only going to help this franchise moving forward. Because I was on Eddie White's World's Greatest Postgame show after the game, and I said, you don't get this stage often when you're somebody like the Pacers and you're up and coming, but you need to take advantage of the stage. And clearly they have taken advantage of the stage on Monday in the win against Boston, and then a tremendous win tonight against Milwaukee.
I mean, just back-to-back amazing wins. Even if you go back beating Miami, I mean, the Pacers are playing great basketball against great teams. But I know it's not technically a playoff game, but to go to the championship, I mean, Chris, how big of a win really is this, given the last few years where, the Pacers, A, didn't make the playoffs, or B, didn't get out of the first round?
Well, let's go back to the summer when the group play was announced, and you looked at Indiana's group, and you had Philadelphia, considered one of the best teams in the NBA. You had Cleveland, who was the 4 seed last year, right? And you had Atlanta, who was a playoff team. So you beat all 3 of those. And then in the semifinals, even though you have home court, you get the best team in the East in Boston. You beat them. And then for your reward, you've got to play Milwaukee. So what the Pacers have done in group play and in this in-season tournament, they've beaten 5 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And so that's been very, very impressive. And I think the way they rallied in the fourth quarter tonight, guys, I mean, think about it. They dominated the first half, and then gave up 43 points in the third quarter, and then only 25 in the fourth. I mean, I thought their defense down the stretch, I think, as good as Lillard was in the third quarter, he was not effective in the fourth. They did a good job on Giannis in the fourth. They kept him off the free throw line. And the Pacers win this game despite going 7 for 33 from three-point range. I think we would, all three of us, they had tons of open looks. I mean, Buddy Hield was 0 for 6 from three-point range. It's only the second time he's not made a three this year, and yet the Pacers outscore Milwaukee 37-25 in the fourth. So, just a tremendous win.
Yeah, I mean, when Buddy Hield goes 0 of 6 from 3, but still leads the team in rebounds, that's a funny stat to just read out loud, right? One of those things, and I was telling Facci in our first segment, Andrew Nembhard comes into the game in the third quarter when Dame's going off. Damian Lillard did not have another field goal, Chris, until Andrew Nembhard got hurt on his missed layup attempt. So for that entire stretch, we didn't see Damian Lillard make another field goal. And I thought that was incredible defense from Andrew Nembhard and them just locking in. I know Dame came out of the game for a little bit in that stretch, but still, the way he was just kind of cooking, I think that having a capable defender like an Andrew Nembhard on the bench, who was playing behind T.J. McConnell in this game as kind of like the third string point guard, and he came in for Bruce Brown when he got hurt in that first quarter. I just thought, okay, Andrew Nembhard really stepped up after really not getting much of a chance to prove that he could be on the court, especially when you go back to the Celtics game, he barely played. So I just feel like his ability to be ready and to really contribute was huge in this game.
I think you're right, guys. And I think, what was so important in that third quarter was Indiana finally adjusting to the zone that Milwaukee played. I thought the first 2 possessions were not very good, and all of a sudden that 12-point lead was down to 5 like that. But I thought the key was Nembhard's defense, but him hitting those 4 baskets in the third quarter, and then Bruce Brown in the fourth quarter getting into the middle of that zone and hitting a couple of jump shots. In fact, I think one of those gave the Pacers the lead for good. I thought the way they were patient and figured out how to make the Bucks pay, especially in the middle of that zone, was definitely critical for the Pacers.
Yeah, and while we're talking about playing some good defense, I mean, can we give Aaron Nesmith his shine? Because what he's doing, the effort, even when guys score, he's making it as tough as possible. But the intensity that Aaron's been bringing to the Pacers is everything that they have needed when they're looking to have a defensive turnaround. I mean, Chris, what was your thoughts on Aaron just battling defensively, at least in specific, maybe the last 2 games or even just this game?
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, he's a guy that he loves being a member of the Pacers. It was a big night for him on Monday, beating his former team. It was one of those nights where he didn't shoot it particularly well either. He was 1 for 4 from 3 and 2 for 6. But when the Pacers needed him to play defense, he was able to do that. I look at the bench numbers. They outscored Milwaukee's bench 43-13. I mean, that was huge. I mean, that was massive. You're right. I mean, McConnell's play, the tip-in that he had, on the missed shot was huge. So I just think everybody that played, I mean, Isaiah Jackson, 11 points and 6 rebounds off the bench after really, not playing a lot. He didn't even get off the bench, I think, against Boston, did he?
Didn't.
So, yeah, everybody who was out there, and I think that's a really good sign. And guys, I'll really go back, I think, to last Saturday. I think winning that game without Tyrese, and we know how good Tyrese is and how important he is to the Pacers, I really think that helped everybody on that roster, giving them some confidence. And then you stick Tyrese back in, and what he's done the last 2 games and what he's done all year, just makes this a team that is going to be reckoned with. And it's fun for me to watch TNT tonight and ESPN and just see all the love and the attention that the Pacers are getting, because if they lose the game on Monday against Boston, that goes away. But we've enjoyed a nice week of attention, and it will only continue moving into Saturday.
You talked about how your wife thought you were kind of obnoxious being a fan instead of being the broadcaster. So
yeah.
Tell me a few different times that you were kind of becoming obnoxious during that game. Was there a couple plays there that you didn't like, or a foul call you didn't agree with, or a call you didn't agree with?
I thought the traveling call on McConnell was crazy. I mean,
It really was.
I could not believe that they called that, and I probably lost my mind on that. I probably had a few choice words during the course of the game. Even if the Pacers missed a shot, I was frustrated early in that third quarter because I thought there were some bad offensive possessions, and Milwaukee was hitting shots. I mean, Dame does what Dame does. But for the most part, it was pumping my fist and just getting excited. I thought Myles Turner was terrific. I just was happy for the group and happy for the organization. I mean, I've been around this for 18 years. I've seen the highs and the lows. And, I prefer to do a game. I'm still nervous during a game, but I have a job to do. And so I can't really let that kind of emotion come out. The good news is, and it's on social media now, but they're going to have a watch party at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Saturday night. So open the doors, let people come in, enjoy it. I'm not in Vegas. We're not doing any television through Bally Sports. It's all national. So that'll be a chance for me to be with the fan base on Saturday night in downtown Indianapolis to sort of enjoy the moment with them. And, see what this Pacers team can do on Saturday night and see if they can win the first ever NBA Cup in the in-season tournament.
When you think about what you just mentioned, a watch party, and the fact that the Pacers had one nationally televised game originally, but due to them winning, they were able to create 3 more. At that point, it could have taken 3 years to get 3 more nationally televised games. Going to this Cup, and whether we play the Lakers, the Clippers, we don't know at this moment. I mean, what could this do for the outlook of the Pacers for the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, it's a long year, and what you think about it, guys. Saturday, you play for this championship, and then on Monday, you're going to play the worst team in the NBA, who's going to have everything to play for in the Detroit Pistons. I mean, I look at that and go, "Oh my gosh," But I think it just means a lot to the franchise, and we all know. I mean, it's why you guys are fans. You've been fans for a long time. We know what this franchise is capable of. We saw it with Reggie. We saw it in 2013, 14, going to the Eastern Conference Finals. This is a franchise that is capable of doing really great and special things. And I think with Tyrese and here's the other thing, give that coaching staff a lot of credit. I mean, what Rick Carlisle and his staff have done, especially in these last 2 games, they've gotten a lot of criticism for their defense, right? And at times rightly so. But what they've been able to do against 2 of the very best teams in the NBA, Boston and Milwaukee, from a defensive end on Monday and Thursday, boy, that's very impressive.
It really is. And I think their defense has gotten better. It feels like they're buying in a little bit more to the system, knowing that the stops matter at the end. And I think Tyrese post-game, after the game against the Celtics, he was really funny. When Dustin DePiric asked him about defense, and every time anybody mentioned defense, he was kind of making, "Oh, you want to write about that? Because all you guys have been doing is killing us for our defense." And it's understandable. Now, this is a little bit of non-basketball related stuff, kind of like the semantics of things, but like obviously at the end of that shot that Tyrese hit, he tapped his wrist, kind of did the Dame time thing.
Yeah.
They asked Damian Lillard about that, and he said that he respected Tyrese Haliburton for doing that, but also said to be humble because you never know when your moment's going to come to an end. What are your thoughts on Damian Lillard's comments on the double tap?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Dame has been demonstrative in his career, and what Tyrese is doing is special. I love the swagger that he has. He's a great young man. Let him have some fun. I mean, he'll have to deal with it next Wednesday because the Pacers play the Bucks in Milwaukee at Fiserv Arena. But I don't have a problem with it. I mean, hey, he's on my team, and I love the energy that he plays with. I love the swagger that he plays with. I mean, that's what Reggie Miller did, right? And the fans in Indiana loved him because it was the Pacers against the world, because they didn't get the respect, that other teams get. So, it's the heat of the moment. Are they going to get mad at him? What was the game when he was skipping down the floor? I mean, that's Tyrese. He has fun. And so, hey, Dame will have another shot at him, I'm sure. But on this night, it's Pacers.
Tyrese's joy for the game. It's so evident, and I just feel that he's catching the attention of everybody, but he's backing it up. It's not just like he's showboating after one or two nice plays. This is someone that on the biggest stage has taken his game to next heights. And I feel that, we knew he was going from all-star to potentially all-NBA. Chris, at this point, is it ridiculous to think that he is an MVP candidate? Obviously, the Pacers have to have the wins, but what we're seeing from him, how could he not be an MVP candidate?
Well, the other thing, he's very young. He's only in his fourth year. He's got, plenty of more years in a Pacers uniform. The Pacers have him signed for the next 5. This is a guy that, you're right. You have to win. You got to win at a high level. I mean, you can't be a 42-40 team or even a 45-37 team and be the MVP. I mean, you've got to have the numbers that we saw the Pacers have, back in 2013-14 when they were the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. But this is a guy that plays at such a high level. He's very smart. He loves the game. He makes his teammates better. And I think watching Bob Myers on the ESPN pregame show, that's the one thing he said. Look, there are a lot of great players in this league that guys don't want to play with. He goes, people want to play with Tyrese Haliburton because he's not just a great player, he's a great person.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it briefly in the first segment, Woj's little commentary there where he was talking about Tyrese kind of recruiting players to Indiana, and that kind of being something we haven't seen before. But now that he's been given this national stage to kind of showcase what he's about and how he can get others involved, do you think that's going to help lure other players to come to Indiana and want to be a part of this?
Well, I think so. I mean, I've said Tyrese is like the Pied Piper, but let's just focus on this group. I mean, this group loves playing with Tyrese, and he loves playing with them, and he's made each of them better. I mean, Obi Toppin wanted to come to the Pacers because he knew that Tyrese would make him better. So I just think that's a great tribute to him. It's a great tribute to the coaching staff. We all were disappointed with some of those home losses, Charlotte, Chicago, Portland. Yeah, I get it. I mean, those are tough to take. But I think the way the team has responded, especially on this stage, there's no guarantee when you get to this stage, on this stage, that you will do what the Pacers have done on Monday and on Thursday against the Bucks. So I want to enjoy it for about 48 hours, and then let's see what this team can do on Saturday night against either. At this time, we don't know. I mean, people will be watching later, but we're taping this a little early. Lakers Pelicans has yet to tip off, so we'll just have to wait and see who wins that.
I know you don't want to pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, whatever happens at this point, it's been a success. When it really has, but we've come too far. At this point, Chris, between the Pelicans or the Lakers, is there one team that you would rather see? Because for me, it's a little bit personal. LeBron has eliminated the Pacers 5 times in the playoffs. Even if it's just for one game, I want that chance, and this might be our last chance to get revenge on a LeBron-led team in a game or a series that really matters. But what's your preference?
You would probably say that just from a stage perspective. I mean, you play the Lakers and LeBron, but hey, don't put anything past the Pelicans. I mean, I'm a big CJ McCollum fan. Brandon Ingram's playing great. They've got Zion. They've got Valanciunas. They've got a lot of young people. They're a little bit like the Pacers from the standpoint that a lot of people don't know a lot about New Orleans. They're on national television more than the Pacers are. But yeah, I think from a drama standpoint, you would want to play the Lakers and LeBron, because LeBron in all those years with the Cavaliers and Miami. I mean, I think about the times how many times he's knocked the Pacers out of the postseason. He knocked them out
5 times.
5 times, 3 times with the Heat and twice with Cleveland. So yeah, it's only a 1-game situation. It's not the playoffs, but it is the first ever in-season tournament. It would be cool if the Pacers could knock LeBron out of the championship game.
They've done a good job so far taking out other competitors there, Chris. We've talked about all the wins they've had this season already, and it's really been building a great resume for proving themselves. But as we wrap this up, I'm going to go back to that Hawks in-season tournament game. The Pacers win 157-152, but we got an incredible post-game video from Tyrese Haliburton of your partner, Quinn Buckner, dancing in the locker room eating, I think it was a sandwich. I'm not sure what he was eating, but
it was peanut butter and jelly. He told me it was the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich he had ever had.
Those poor tongs just hit the floor so quick when he started dancing. I mean, the comments on the rest in peace tongs was killing me on Twitter. But that video and just Quinn's excitement with this team. What are your thoughts on that video? And what did Quinn have to say about that video?
I was surprised that he wasn't mad, because he's a very prideful person. I mean, I told him, look, it's no worse than the video that they had of me at a kids event one time doing
flossing,
right? Yeah,
I knew that was coming up.
I mean, that was horrible.
That's great. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, it was cool to see. And I just told Quinn, I said, when you have Tyrese and Buddy with their phones, you better just lay low, especially after a win like that, because they will make you pay. And that's exactly what they did.
I don't think it should lay low, though. I think we need more of that. That was great. The fan base was super excited.
Great content.
Even the little fist pump and the big smile he had after the Nembhard game winner. I mean, that one just hits, man. You love to see that from Quinn.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think people, again, they know who we want to win. I mean, we do Pacers games, but at the same time, we try to do it in a way that, I don't want to say it's objective, because we're not objective, but there's a certain way that you do the broadcast, because the other team, is important too. And it's a brand that we represent, the NBA, not just the Indiana Pacers. But yeah, when we can have that emotion, and I think we had that emotion on Monday when Ty hit the 4-point play, when Nesmith got the dunk. Yeah, I mean, I wish we could have been doing tonight's game. I think my wife wishes we could have been doing tonight's game as well. I guess the good news for her is I'll be downtown on Saturday night. And Alex, will you be there? I mean,
well, is it free or does it cost, or what is it?
It's free. I mean,
everything's free.
They said it's free parking. I think you just have to. I think you just have to register.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's all over social media right now. So, yeah.
I'll have to see what I can do. I'm going to try to make it down there.
Hey, I'm jealous.
On stage, that sounds Chris, like whatever I need to do.
All right.
That sounds like it's going to be an awesome experience. But yeah, Chris, I know while we didn't get to hear you on the game tonight, it was only fitting that we had you come on our show, be able to talk about this win, because it was an awesome win, a lot of fun. But Chris, I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. I know this ain't the last time we're going to see each other, because it's always a pleasure having you back on. But once again, we don't got to go through Instagram or anything, right. But tell everybody where they can find you at on. We'll go with X. We'll call it that.
On X. Chris Denari on X. You can see I post. Facebook's probably more personal stuff, but I think the Pacers do a great job on Facebook posting highlights and all those kinds of stuff. And then on Instagram, it's Chris Denari. Chris Denari on X, Chris Denari on Instagram, not on TikTok, any of that, but yeah, that's how you find me.
Awesome stuff, Chris. We do appreciate you coming on, making some time for us to talk about this win. I know you've been on the greatest postgame show with Eddie White already too, so I'm sure you've had a lot of fun just talking about this win, but special win for the Pacers and an opportunity of a lifetime here to win the in-season tournament and be the first ever champions of this tournament too. So really special moment for the Pacers, and I'm glad that we're all getting to be a part of it and witness it.
Absolutely, guys. Look forward to it. Hopefully see you Saturday. Facci, I'll see you along the way sometime on the road, I'm sure.
That is a guarantee.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Setting the pace, going to the top. Setting the pace, going to the top. This is your #1 podcast. Sweeping every team. We gon' need a mop. Smooth.
Baby.